students. Today I would like to discuss a few important concepts in nuclear. The concept here is mass energy equivalence. This is explained by the famous physicist Einstein. According to mass energy equivalence, the mass is converted into energy and energy is also converted into mass. According to Einstein, the mass is converted into energy as well as energy is converted into mass. Mass energy equivalence gives us from the equation of binding energy E is equals to delta M into C square. This is the basic equation. According to mass energy equivalence, the mass is converted to energy inside the nucleus to bind the nucleons. That's why the nucleons are stable inside the nucleus. Here energy is converted into mass also. That is the mass energy equivalence. According to mass energy equivalence, 1 AMU equivalent energy is, we can calculate delta M nothing but 1 AMU. What is the value of 1 AMU? 1.66 into 10 power minus 27 kgs. C is nothing but speed of light, 3 into 10 power 8. If you multiply these two terms, you got 931.5 MeV, mega electron volt. That's way 1 AMU equivalent energy is 931.5 MeV. Means here mass 1, if 1 AMU is converted into energy, this much of energy is released. 1 AMU can be expressed as like this, that is 1 AMU equals to 931.5 MeV by C square. If you move delta M from this equation, the delta M is equals to E by C square. For 1 AMU, if it is 1 AMU, the energy is 931.5 according to this calculation MeV by C square. That's why 1 AMU equivalent equals to 931.5 by C square also. You can express like this also. This is mass energy equivalence. It's a very important concept. And the next one is binding energy curve. What it represents? In our previous class, we discussed about binding energy per nucleon. What is binding energy per nucleon? This represents stability. The stability of nuclei means the binding energy curve represents the stability of different nuclei. If you, the key observations in this graph is, we observe 3 spikes at 3 different positions here. At helium, oxygen as well as carbon and neon also. Means the binding energy per nucleon suddenly increases, means more binding energy is there to bind the nucleons. That's why those are more stable compared to neighbor nuclei. Later on, if you move towards right, 26 Fe56 that has maximum binding energy per nucleon, means this region, whatever you are observing on the graph, this region has most binding energy. As binding energy is more and Vg by A is more, nothing but that is more stable than all. Later on, if you move towards right, the binding energy curve slowly decreases, the slope is slowly decreases. The binding energy curve slowly decreases, nothing but the stability decreases. That's where the A value greater than 56, the mass number greater than 56. The binding energy slowly decreases. These heavier nuclei undergoes fission process to get stability, and the lighter nuclei undergoes fusion process for more stability. These two concepts are very, very important. And the key terms in this graph is, the first one you observe that at helium, carbon, oxygen as well as neon also, those are more stable compared to neighbor nuclei or neighbor elements. The binding energy curve, in the binding energy curve, the minimum value obtained for neutron, that is 1.11 MeV, mega electron volt. The maximum value is For iron, 26 Fe56, that is about 8.7 MeV. This is more stable than all. These are the key concepts in the graph, and there are two another concepts. That is, if A is greater than what 220, if mass number is greater than 220, those are unstable, which participate in fission process. If A is less than 150, they are more stable, which are participating in fusion process. And also, I explained that iron is more stable and binding energy is 8.7 MeV. That means, as it is more stable, it neither participate in fusion nor fission process. It does not participate in these two processes, fusion as well as fission. Why? Because this is more stable. These are the key features we obtained from the binding energy curve. The next one is, let's coming to the question, which is also NCERT based question. The binding energy per nucleon plot against mass numbers. A stable nuclei is given figure. Which one is correct answer? We already obtained the binding energy curve. For the binding energy curve, the curve increases up to 56, Fe56, later on decreases. That curve represented by only C. The remaining are not in that fashion. That's why A, B, D are not correct. Only the correct option is C. Let's coming to the next question. This is also there directly given that question. The dependence of binding energy per nucleon on the mass number represented by directly they are asked the binding energy curve. The binding energy curve is up to A is equals to 56 increases, later on decreases. Let's coming to the next concept. This is important concept. The Sadi-Fazend's displacement rule. According to Sadi-Fazend's displacement rule, whenever the radioactive element undergoes disintegration or decay, then those mass numbers as well as the atomic numbers changes. How those changes? The changes takes place. If radioactive disintegration means the radioactive elements, the radioactive particles releases alpha, beta, gamma rays. In that case, their mass numbers as well as atomic numbers changes. If a radioactive element undergoes alpha decay, alpha particle nothing but helium nucleus. Alpha particle is helium nucleus. Whenever a alpha particle released from a nucleus, the A value decreased by 4. Why? Because here A value is 4. The atomic number decreased by 2. The atomic number decreased by 2. Here the decrement represented with minus sign. And beta minus decay. What is beta minus decay? Beta minus decay is the beta particles or beta minus particles nothing but fast moving electrons. Whenever electrons are released, the electron symbol is minus 1e0. Whenever electron is decayed or released from a nucleus, the mass number does not change, but the atomic number, as it is decreased by 1, the atomic number of data nuclei increased by 1. The next one is beta plus decay. The beta plus decay is nothing but the positron emission. The positron is antiparticle of electron. That's why whenever positron is emitted, that Z value, atomic number decreased by 1, the mass number does not change. The last one is quantum radiation. The gamma rays nothing but only photons. This means there is no change in either mass number or atomic number. This is the picture of alpha decay. The parent nucleus represented with ZXA. Here A is atom mass number, Z is atomic number, X is the element. Whenever it is decreased, Z decreased by 2, A decreased by 4. This is alpha particle. For example, here is an example regarding this alpha decay. The uranium 92-238 undergoes the alpha decay. Then what form? Here thorium. The daughter nucleus is thorium. And here 92 is the atomic number, here 90 is the atomic number. Means Z decreased by 2 and 238 is mass number, here 234 is mass number. A decreased by 4. And the emitted particle is alpha particle. This is the alpha decay. And next coming to the beta decay. And explain that beta decay is two types. One is beta minus decay, other one is beta plus decay. In beta minus decay, the key observation is very important. Here, if you observe this one, carbon 14. The carbon 14 contains 6 protons and 8 neutrons. Why? Because the basic configuration can be written as like this: 6C14. 6C14. 14 minus 6 is 8. That's why the neutron number is A minus Z. A minus Z is equals to 8 neutrons. If it undergoes beta minus decay, what happens? If it undergoes beta minus decay, one neutron is converted into proton. One neutron is converted into proton. That's why in the parent, in the daughter nuclei, the neutron is decreased by 1, that is 7 neutrons only, and the proton is increased by 1, 7 protons. Here only 6 protons. Means the key concept here is, in this process, neutron is converted into proton, and the supplementary particles are also very important. Anti-neutrino is released. Anti-neutrino is released. As it is my beta minus decay nothing but electron emission. Beta minus decay nothing but electron emission. Whereas if you come to beta plus decay here, protons, the carbon 10. The carbon 10 nothing but 6C10. In this case, if you observe this one, there are 6 protons and 4 neutrons. The proton is converted into neutron. In this process, what happening? Proton is converting into neutron. That's why the proton number decreased by 1 and neutron number increased by 1. That's why 5 protons and 5 neutrons. Whenever Z varies, obviously the nuclei varies. That is, boron 10 is created here by emitting a supplementary particle, here neutrino. And here this is beta plus decay nothing but positron emission. The positron is antiparticle of electron. The positron is antiparticle of electron. Here, what happening here? The proton is converted into neutron. The proton is converted into neutron. The proton converted into neutron by emitting a neutrino. Here, neutron is converted into proton by emitting antineutrino. These two things are also very important. You should keep in mind. Here, antineutrino is released. Here, neutrino is released. Beta plus decay and beta minus decay is also very important. In last year NEET examination, I saw the question regarding beta minus decay. Beta minus decay represent. The question is here: what is the supplementary particle in beta minus decay? The answer is antineutrino. Next, coming to the next concept, that is gamma decay. Gamma, I am already explained. Gamma is nothing but photons. As the gamma ray nothing but whenever this is 6C12C excited, star nothing but here C excited energy state. The nucleus is in excited energy state. Whenever it releases energy, then obviously the energy is released from the nucleus. There is nothing but here the carbon 6C12 comes under to the normal level. This way here, there is no change in A or there is no change in Z value. Those are same by emitting gamma ray. Just what happening here is the excited nuclei comes into the normal level or ground state. That is the gamma ray emission. The gamma ray emission. All these are happening. The key thing here is every nuclei trying to get stability. In order to get stability, these decays takes place. Either it is alpha or beta or gamma. These are called Sadi-Francis displacement rules. The question is asked on this concept is here. ZXA decays 20 alpha particles, 30 beta minus particles, and 20 beta plus particles. What is the new nuclei here? What is the answer here? Here, in order to solve this type of problems, you have to prepare a small table. That is, it releases alpha particles. It releases alpha particles, releases beta minus particles, and beta plus particles. What changes? You have to prepare a small table here. Alpha particle, how A varies or how Z varies. How Z varies, how A varies. These two concepts are very important. Here, whenever alpha particle is released, then what happens? The Z value decreased by 2. The Z value decreased by 2, nothing but minus 2 of how many alpha particles are emitted? 20. Now coming to the A value. A value decreased by 4. Decreased nothing but here represented with minus sign. How many particles are there? 20. That is about alpha. Next coming to the beta minus particles. Whenever beta minus decay takes place, beta minus decay nothing but the Z value increased by 1. Increased by 1 nothing but plus 1. How many particles are there? 30. There is no change in A. And the next one is beta plus decay. The beta, whenever beta plus decay takes place, the Z value decreased by 1. How many beta particles are emitted? Beta plus particles emitted here 20. There is no change in here. Now take the sum of the values. Here minus 40, minus 20, minus 60, plus 30. The answer is minus 30. Here minus 80. The sum of these three terms is minus 80. The sum of these three terms is minus 30. That's why the new element can be expressed as like this. Why? Why? Because here Z varies. Z varies. How it is varies? Z minus 30, A minus 80. Here it is there. This is the answer for this question. Z minus 30, A minus 80. And that is coming to the next question, next model. That is the disintegration series. The question might be asked like this also. 92 to 38 uranium decay to alpha particle X, Y, Z. What is the Z and A respectively? You can answer very easily. Just simple trick. If you observe that here Z values all are different. If you move it here 92, if it decays alpha particle, the new element is the Z decreased by 2. It undergoes alpha decay, Z decreased by 2. 92 becomes 90. Later on, beta minus decay takes place. Beta minus decay takes place, nothing but electron emission takes place. Z increased by 1. The 90 becomes 91. The 91, the option is only 4. The correct option is 4. This type of questions may be asked in the NEET examination. Now coming to the next concept. This is also very important concept. Energy conservation. Alpha decay. Whenever alpha decay takes place, the key concept here is some of mechanism or mechanics included in this one. This is suppose a nuclei which releases alpha particle. Here is a daughter nuclei is formed. Whenever the decay takes place, then the momentum conservation holds good. In all collisions, the conservation of linear momentum holds good. That's why whenever alpha particle releases, the momentum of alpha particle equals to the momentum of daughter nuclei. This is the daughter nuclei, this is the alpha particle. What changes here? Only direction, except direction. Only direction changes. But the magnitude of these two things are equal. And let us come into the kinetic energy. Means conservation of linear momentum holds good. The second one is energy. Energy conservation takes place. How energy conservation takes place? The total energy represented by Q here. The Q is equals to kinetic energy of alpha particle plus kinetic energy of D, nothing but daughter nuclei. The basic equation for kinetic energy is P square by 2m the kinetic energy of alpha particle plus the kinetic energy of daughter nuclei. The basic equation for kinetic energy of alpha particle is P square by 2m of alpha. The kinetic energy equation generally we are using that P square by 2m or half mv square. That's why K alpha is equals to P square by 2m alpha plus K daughter equals to P square by 2md. We can write this equation in two different ways. That is, if you common P square by 2m alpha, the equation becomes 1 plus, what is the equation here? M alpha plus M alpha by M daughter, or we can write also like this. If you common P square by 2m daughter, 1 plus md by m alpha. This is the kinetic energy equation. This is the kinetic energy equation, that is P square by 2m alpha can be also again written as K alpha as well as P square by 2m daughter nuclei, that is kinetic energy of daughter nuclei. This is K alpha into, if you come into this equation, 1 plus m alpha by md, the equation can be written as md plus mass of daughter nuclei, mass of alpha particle by md. This is the total mass, capital A. The data of mass of daughter nuclei is, as it is released alpha particle, A decreased by 4, A minus 4. That is the daughter nuclei mass. And here also, from the second term, Kd, the total mass, m alpha plus md is in denominator. That is m alpha plus md by m alpha. You can write like this. This represents total mass. M alpha, the mass of alpha particle is 4. Means whenever the kinetic energy daughter nucleus given, we have to use this equation, the second term, to find the energy released in alpha decay. Whenever in the question the kinetic energy of alpha particle is given, then we have to use this equation. That's why you have to keep in mind these two equations: K alpha into A by A minus 4 or Kd into K daughter into kinetic energy of daughter nuclei into A by 4. This energy conservation principle is also very important. The next one is coming to the pair annihilation and as well as pair production. This is also under the category of energy, mass energy equivalence. Why? Because here the matter is converted into energy. The matter is converted into energy. In pair production, energy is converted into matter. Here, electron, positron, and electron are there. Whenever they collide each other, then the gamma ray radiation. This is the wave, nothing wave representation, nothing but photons. Photons are created. That is, nothing but pair is annihilated. Either it is positron or electron, or generally you can explain as a particle and antiparticle. This is a particle, electron, The antiparticle of electron is positron. Antiparticle. Whenever a particle and antiparticle collide each other, then energy is released. Means this pair is annihilated. Nothing but the matter here converted into energy. Or in some cases, there are also like this also. When a proton and antiproton, proton plus antiproton, combine to gives also energy, H nu. H nu nothing but here gamma rays. The proton and antiproton or any particle and antiparticle interact and releases gamma rays. That is called pair annihilated. This is here pair is annihilated. The next one is pair production. Means whenever radiation collides, these are the gamma rays. Nucleus. Some target nucleus is here. Whenever gamma rays are collide target nucleus, then particle and antiparticle are released from this nucleus. Means the energy is absorbed by the nucleus and it releases the particle and antiparticle. Means here pair is produced. That's why this is called pair production. Let's come into the in detail. That is, what is the rest energy of electron or positron? That much of energy is created for each particle in pair production as well as in pair annihilation. Is the rest energy of electron or positron nothing but the rest energy represented with E naught, that equals to mc square or m naught into c square. We know what is the m value and what is c square value. Yes, the m value is 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kgs. And C value is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. Full square. The value gives us 0.51 MeV. If you convert it into MeV, the rest energy of electron or positron is 0.51 MeV. You should keep in mind this value also. The rest energy of electron and positron is 0.51 MeV. Then what happening in pair production or annihilation? The minimum energy of gamma ray for pair production is minimum energy equals to minimum energy for each particle is 0.51 MeV according to our calculation. Here two particles are formed. In pair production, two particles are formed. That is, electron as well as positron is formed. That's why we need how much energy required to form this one? 2 times 0.51 MeV. That is 1.02 MeV. This is also constant. It's very important. You should keep in mind 1.02 MeV required to produce a pair. And also, when annihilation takes place, this much of energy is released. The next one is, these are the three cases in this one. Here in pair production, we observe that whenever there is a nucleus, whenever gamma ray collide the nucleus, means the minimum energy required to form pair particle and antiparticle are here electron and positron. The minimum energy is 1.02 MeV for the both. If each energy is, I said that 0.51 MeV, if incident energy is less than this much value, then we can say that in this case only energy absorbed by the nucleus. In this case, there is no pair formation takes place. Why? Because the incident energy is not sufficient to produce a pair. In order to form a pair, the minimum energy required is 1.02 MeV. If incident energy is less than that value, no pair is formed, only energy absorbed. In the next case, in the second case, if incident energy is equal to this one, if incident energy is equal to 2 each, whenever incident energy equals to 2 times the individual particles, means the energy required to form the pair just pair produced. In this case, pair is produced. Why? Because the incident energy equals to the energy required to form a pair. In the last case, if E greater than 2 each, if incident energy is greater than the energy is required to form pair, then those particles moving with some kinetic energy. Move with some kinetic energy. Here, how much energy of each particle? We can express as like this. The energy, excess energy is E naught minus 2 each. This is the kinetic energy of the both particles. For each particle, we have to divide with 2. This is the kinetic energy of each particle, kg each, E naught minus 2 each by 2. When this is happening, only when the incident energy must be greater than 2 times the individual rest energies. Each less than 0.5. This is the concept of new pair production, pair annihilation.